Okay, hi, what's up? Gameweek14 is here. Going to talk you through my team making decisions for this weekend. It's a little complicated, if I'm honest, because I've kind of got an eye on the next 3 weekends and trying to make the right moves happen. So I'll talk you through that and show you how my team's lined up for this weekend. Okay, the logical start point each week is to just assume you won't make any transfers and just see how your team lines up anyway. So here's how my team looks for the weekend. I feel pretty good about it. I do think that Liverpool might have a relatively tough time at home against Everton. Everton are pretty good defensively, have been tightening up. So I'm a little bit down on Mohamed Salah at the moment, just how much value he carries within my team, because I think that game might be tight. Could be misreading this, of course. It could end up being 5-4 or whatever, but I've just got a feeling that it could be a tough one. And Liverpool had that tough game against Paris Saint-Germain during the week. So yeah, feeling a little bit down on that. But otherwise, the team's in pretty good shape. The only area that I'm really thinking about improving is my bench. I mean, I think it's in a good spot right now. But going into the Christmas period, I'm kind of looking at Guendouzi there as the third spot on the bench and just thinking whether there's a better option there, just to have a little bit extra insurance as we get into this kind of holiday program where there might be some sudden injuries or rotation and what have you. But the other thing that's on my mind is these fixture swings that are coming up in 15 and 16, where Spurs start getting some easier fixtures from 15 on and Arsenal start getting some easier fixtures from 16 on. So let's say I didn't do anything this week and saved the transfer for next week. Does that put me in a good spot to bring in a Tottenham player, then an Arsenal player? So I ran through the permutations of that and had a look at what I would do if that was the case. And it doesn't look like that's the right move. What I'm looking at is bringing Son in game week 15 when Spurs end up playing Southampton. And in order to do that, I need to generate a little bit of value. I need to find an extra 0.2 million, I think it is, this week in order to make that transfer kind of happen easily. The reason I like that is obviously Spurs fixture is good, but Martial for Man United ends up playing Arsenal in a fixture that again could be kind of tight from a goal scoring point of view. And then in game week 16, I'm interested in bringing in Aubameyang, probably in the place of Aguero. That weekend, Man City play Chelsea, and while I think City will probably win that game, I imagine that Chelsea might be able to hold them to kind of fewer goals than normal. So I feel relatively good about making that switch, and Arsenal have got a good fixture that weekend. So if I go Son in 15 and Aubameyang in 16, it means I need to do something in game week 14 just to free up just a little bit of budget to make those moves work. Where I started was whether I could simply kind of do this move with Guendouzi and try and find a kind of a nice substitute that way. My initial instinct was that I wanted to bring in David Brooks from Bournemouth, which unfortunately I can't do because it's just out of budget and it doesn't make the savings that I needed it to make. He's a player I definitely would like to be bringing in because I think he's got a lot of attacking potential and he's great value. The second option I looked at was to switch Guendouzi out for Philip Billing at Huddersfield. There's another player I kind of like, and he's starting games more regularly and contributing, I think, at both ends of the field. Just a good up and down midfielder that I think is a nice insurance policy to have over the Christmas period. But again, in this case, he just doesn't save me the money that I need in order to fund those Arsenal and Tottenham moves. So a little disappointed on that. And then I looked at another option, again, looking at this weekend's fixtures. Another option I kind of like was to take Callum Wilson out and bring in Wilfried Zaha. Obviously, Wilson's got this tough game away at Man City where Bournemouth are unlikely to even touch the ball, let alone score. Plus, maybe his points potential is going to be a little damaged, with the return of Josh King into that team. And I like Palace's home fixture against Burnley. I think Palace have improved recently. I think Burnley are a relatively broken team at the moment. They don't seem to be defending in quite the same way that they used to. And Palace need this. They are in trouble and they know it. And I think some of these performances against the big teams recently have been pretty good against Spurs, Arsenal, Man United and Chelsea. It feels like they're about to get a win. And I think this is the game that's going to happen. So I'd want Zaha. The downside to this is that Palace just aren't scoring many goals. So even if Palace do win, the chances of them scoring 2 or more goals is pretty slim. Plus, it doesn't save me the money that I want to save. But it was definitely, when I looked at the fixtures this weekend, something I was really interested in. Okay, so look, I'm really left with only 2 options, and they're big moves that involve selling Mohamed Salah and kind of realising that kind of pessimistic feeling I've got around the Merseyside derby, that it might be quite tight. The first option I've looked at really closely is to bring in Eden Hazard this weekend, a player who I haven't owned yet this season, apart from a free hit. I really like the look of Chelsea's fixture at home to Fulham. Obviously Chelsea are very good. Fulham's defending is really bad still. I mean, they still managed, even though they have the new manager and had that home game against Southampton, they still managed to concede 2 goals in that game, and conceded other chances. They could have been more. But overall, his form has dipped. I think he hasn't really been returning quite as many attacking points. That team with Morata in it hasn't been scoring as freely as it could do. But then on the other hand, they had a great win in the Europa League this week. Olivier Giroud getting a couple of goals, so maybe he starts against Fulham, and maybe they do get a hatful of goals. I am very tempted by this move. On the positive sides with Eden Hazard, he's been kind of unlucky not to score in the last few games. Probably should have had a penalty against Tottenham. Another positive is that he's obviously been rested from the Europa League in midweek, and it also kind of reduces or spreads a little bit of risk that if Man City struggle against Bournemouth for whatever reason, that there's another kind of points generator that's in the team that really could bag a return this weekend. So there's lots to be said in favour of this move, and it's been a difficult one to figure out, but I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on this one. It's just asking a lot to happen, I think, in one game. And I'm not sure I love owning Eden Hazard in the longer term, just because of the fact that the goals have somewhat dried up for Chelsea. And, they didn't look great against Tottenham last time out. So the move I'm going for is to take Salah out and put Raheem Sterling in. Sterling's the top scorer in the game. Had a great game against West Ham last week. It was a little quiet in their Champions League game, I think, this week in midweek, but he's scoring so well, and that team is just generating so many goals. And with a little bit of a fitness doubt over Bernardo Silva, I think he's going to be my main guy this week. Bournemouth are a good team. They defend well, they've got a solid midfield and can attack. But I think with Man City in the Premier League, it really doesn't matter the team that's in front of them. They find a way to steamroller even the best teams. So that's my move for this week. I'm going to take Salah out. I think he's got a tough, tight derby against Everton, and bring in Sterling for what hopefully is another Man City at home goal fest this weekend against Bournemouth. One decision I'm really weighing now is whether to captain him ahead of Aguero for that match. I'm very tempted, still not sure what I'm going to do. But it'll be one of those two guys. Aguero just has this habit of scoring every game at home, and I guess Sterling does too. It just feels like it's going against the core principles of the game not to captain Aguero in a fixture like this. But he hasn't been returning the same kind of attacking points as Sterling. Sterling's got obviously the opportunity of picking up that extra clean sheet point as well because he's a midfielder. So maybe I will go with Sterling as captain after all. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the thumbs up if you did like it. Please click to subscribe to the channel, and I wish you all good luck this week for Gameweek 14. I hope your teams are in good shape and that you bag a load of points, and let me know how you get on. Alright, take it easy. Bye.